where you're a girl, you're dealing with the film industry, all kind of men.
It was extremely difficult. I was in college and I had read an ad in a paper which said wanted college girls with a flair for writing. So I went for the job and I interviewed, and I didn't think at that point that I was going to really take it up. It was a completely mad experience. 3 professional people were interviewing me and asking me all sorts of questions. And finally, when they told me that this is a film journalism job, I said, but I don't want to be a film journalist. So they said, then why are you wasting our time? I said, I don't know, I just came for an interview. The point is that you're so young and you're so cheeky that you just get away with it. And at home, of course, there was a rebellion, and my mother was very upset. My father was extremely devastated that when I was pursuing finally law, that I would choose journalism above law. And he said, okay, you like writing, but what are you going to do as a profession? I said, no, I want to write as a profession. And he thought that I should be a lawyer. I think I would have failed as a lawyer.
Yeah, but because of what you read, which is, as we know, half here and half there, but you feel that every man is going to bounce at you and you're going to be considered a loose woman who's easily available. So it's very tough to, convince your family for this kind of a profession.
Unfortunately, the stigma remains with the film fraternity. I think it's because show business is all about drama and passion and magic. Actually, the same kind of things are happening in every other profession. But because we are in the limelight, these things seem more. And as far as a loose woman or lose any reputation, I think it's all about how you conduct yourself. And the people just know where to draw their line, and nobody ever trespasses.
Yeah, but as a film journalist, I think there's another big issue which comes up. You have to deal with very big and fragile egos, as you just said. So how did you tackle that? Because every time you have to wait, you have to put yourself second. People kind of maybe not even recognize you, although they met you 5 times earlier. It's a big ego-shattering thing every day, I'm sure. There's great comfort in being a commoner. On page 15, one of your books, I remember. What is that? Why did you feel that?
I don't know in what context I wrote it and in which chapter, so I will not be able to explain that. But I think today there is no commoner. The problem today is that the middle class, for instance, is completely invisible. In the olden days, one saw the middle class values in Rishikesh Mukherjee, Basu Chatterjee, Basu Bhattacharya movies. But today, the middle class is not interested in being middle class. Everybody wants to be on page 3. If you watch the way Navratri functions are covered by the television, the closer the camera goes to the person dancing, the more latka and matka and jharkas they do, so that they should not miss their superb dance item. Romantic relationships. I would say that you strike intelligent, emotional equations with people, creative equations with people, and they are extremely healthy and constructive. And of course, there is loyalty in that also. I think the only way to survive, maybe my relationship will survive, is because I have been extremely honest. And when, if at all, I have failed, which can happen, I can make mistakes too. I have said, it happened, and I'm sorry. But I think the test of every relationship is that, is the intention, was the intention to hurt or to deconstruct or to hurt? I don't think I would intentionally or knowingly want to hurt anybody.
No, but I'm sure you read to a lot of
trainee until recently, and they gave the film fraternity gives us the advertisement, and we survive on that. So nobody says it, but you're conscious. I have to be truthful. It does weigh on you that they just pretended or told myself I'm not going to write. Because झूठ नहीं लिखा जाएगा, सच बोला नहीं जाएगा, तो आंखें बंद कर दो इस बात, क्योंकि बहुत सारी too many things are involved in it. And as far as my reviewer is concerned, because I didn't write the review in the paper myself, I would tell the reviewer, it's your page, you are writing the review. But just remember that whenever the review is printed, nobody is going to say that A, B, C, D has
Harry's favorite Bhavana. She never lies. No wonder Mona is his favorite film. Bhavana, how did you convince? Bhavana has done many firsts. In 1989, she got out this first visual magazine, right, G magazine, which was non-gossipy. Then in 1998, she was one of the first to write a book on film stuff, which now everybody is writing, but she did it first. And that also she did on Mr. Bachchan. And I think it was at a time when he really wasn't too happy with the press. How did you convince him to reveal his whole life to you?
Mr. Bachchan was not talking to the media for almost 15 years. So when he, in 1990, made up with the press, he was like a forbidden fruit for all of us in the media. We were so excited about meeting him and interviewing him that everybody was doing an overjob on him. So I think that it was a result of these many interactions that I felt I had so much material on him that if I continued to meet him for some more time, it could get into a book. So I put it all together and then I showed it to him that this is what I had, and I told him that it was potential for a book. I think he was very taken aback, more by the discipline of it. And I could not make out from his expression if he was feeling betrayed or if he was feeling let down that I had put all this in form of a book and maybe making it into a commercial venture. I told him I had not planned this. I have put it together because I didn't want to waste the material that I had on him. And I said, I'm giving it to you, you take it home, you read it, and it's going to be your decision. I said the book or the idea of the book is not more precious to me than your consent for it. He took 3 days to get back to me, and I think he and his wife both went through the details and must have been either surprised or maybe expected to not have anything unsure about it. And he gave me the go-ahead. And after the Bachchan book, I thought that at that moment that it was a very difficult book to do and maybe I would not be able to do it. But from one book I went on to another and it became an addiction. So I want to say one very sweet memory that comes to me about Mr. Bachchan while I was reading the book. I'm saying this simply because everybody is somewhere in love with Mr. Bachchan, so would like to hear this episode. When I was doing the interviews, often at his set or at his home or in his office, he had a huge desk and this tall man would sit on one side of the desk and me, as you described, 5 feet on the other side, and my tape recorder on the table. Now all my college friends who are sitting here know that I have a great gadget phobia and I don't know to operate the simplest of machines. So I would very slowly put the tape recorder closer to him because I was very frightened that soon the tape will get over and it will have to be flipped and I don't know to flip it. So when the cassette would flip, he will say, "Aapki cassette khatam ho gayi." So I will be scribbling on the pad, pretending to be very busy as if I have not heard him, and I will say, "Please palta dijiye na mujhe." And then continue to write. उन्होंने एक बार किया, 2 बार किया, फिर मेरे सामने देखकर बोला, "आपको क्या लग रहा है कि आप मुझसे ये बार-बार कैसेट पलटा रहे हैं और मुझे पता नहीं चला कि आपको आता नहीं है?" फिर मैंने कन्फेस करके बोलते मुझे नहीं आता है because I'm so scared of overwriting my own material, तो माफ कर दो.
Yeah, having worked with Mr. Bachchan, even I used to feel that I behind his head also. He's just a silent observer I've seen. So Bhavana, how was it writing on Hema Jigna, another legend of fashion? How was it different?
I am extremely privileged. Somebody else tells me what to do. I said I would like to think about it. So 2 days later I got back to her and I said that I will do the book on 2 conditions. One, that it should not be just on the dancer, got along like on fire. There were times we got bored of each other also. But eventually it cemented into a great relationship and a great book.
Like all your others. So Bhavana, out of this book, which are your favorite images or moments? Why don't you read them out here?
I'll read a style, T-style. A spiritual soul of higher attainment, Brenda was offended by Krishna's overture and cursed him to turn into a stone. Till that time, she touched him and transformed him into his original avatar. In her next birth, guilty of his conduct, he offers to marry the rape victim. And gradually, Kapoor's Kyunki Saas Bhi Kabhi Bahu Thi, Tulsi has been omnipresent in Hindi films. With special song sequences like Khosla, changed her interpretation on the big screen forever. With just one film, from Krishna's heart to the Angan. She was still someone, the Lord, and in this case the hero, will redefine the custom and make a film that will return the plant to where she belonged, to Krishna's heart.
Wow. पीछे हो जाएंगे प्लीज पीछे मैडम
एक मिनट एक्सक्यूज मी
Refresh the audience's memory with the audience. But for a long time I thought that how can I pen my cards? And all journalists have a way of being one upon another and thinking of how they are going to make their article different. Kindly bear with me while I read the chapter. I decided that I wanted to write this column as a letter to Baba. Dear Baba, after a long time I saw you in a film, not in a documentary. We would rejoice loudly, and that was more out of relief than out of reverence.
Wow.
Over the years, I don't know why and how, but you gradually disappeared from the cinema halls, from the big screen. One hardly ever saw you on the marquee. Our children never made any reference to you, and we were too caught up in ourselves to notice that they were growing up without an ID. Once a while, some noble soul, enchanted by your charisma and philosophy, tried capturing your life on cellulite. Hollywood director Richard Attenborough made the bilingual Gandhi in 1982 and mesmerized the global audience with happy and sad anecdotes from your life. A decade and a half later, our very own Shambhanagar unfolded the anxieties of your youthful days with Kasturba in the making of the Mahatma, released in 1996. Recently, even again, Anil Kapoor released his debut production, delving on your volatile and turbulent relationship with your eldest son Harilal in Gandhi, My Father. Interestingly, even Anubhav Khe produced a stirring film inspired by you. Though not directly connected to you, it related to your ideology and the myth behind your assassinator, Nathuram Godse, in Maine Gandhi Ko Nahi Mara. But no, his earlier film, Munabhai MBBS, is the only one to have the vision and the genius to portray you as yourself. Hirani has portrayed you as an inspiration to his protagonist Munna, a golden-hearted dawn. This is the first novel experience for you and also for us as an audience. When you first appeared on screen, you looked strangely unfamiliar, and it took a while to place you. There was a time, spectacles, and your walking stick. We echoed your thoughts and took pride in simplicity. Now it took time to revive the old memories, even to visualize. Is this really the effect of pollution, as Circuit pointed out in the film? Or have you ever since been wandering extensively, looking for a home? I'm curious to know humanity. You're never tired of reforming all those around you. It's your philosophy, Babu, that transforms Munna to Murli Prasad. It's your philosophy, Babu, that transforms Circuit to Sarkeshwar and Lucky Singh into a no. Many years ago, B. Nagi Reddy produced the film Yehi Hai Zindagi in 1977, starring Sanjeev Kumar, wherein Lord Krishna keeps visiting the hero, a simple. The deity keeps his word, but the hero is unable to cope with the changes. It was an engaging story of faith and of fortitude. In the new millennium, I guess, it had to be the father of the nation who reintroduces us to ourselves. In present time, respect and alter our worldview. Lage Raho Munna Bhai is the purest, the simplest, and the most original story ever told on celluloid in recent times. It is a story that restores our faith in humanity. Thank you, Bapu, for bringing Bapu back into our lives.
Thank you.
And thank you all of us for clapping for me. To read a chapter which is a sequel to the one which I have read. Before he comes on stage, I have to say, but you like or dislike people through their work. And it's through their work that you form a relationship. It is my privilege that somebody as special as Madangarli is in the auditorium with me today. Please come, sir.
Our flowers. Tulsi.
Bhawana Cultural Center is today a kind of a heartbeat in the suburbs for all cultural and art-related activities that take place. And it is a matter of privilege to be in an ambience like this where every Friday, Saturday there's this kind of a movement. And when some, they say great people don't do things different. They do things differently. And one of the nicest things that touches me deeply is that they don't give flowers, they give Tulsi plant. Now, without much ado, I'll ask him to read.
आजकल चश्मे की बिना खबर पड़ी नहीं जाती। This was what Bhawana wrote after the first article she just read. So this was the reply apparently Babu gave after reading the article. It says, Dear Swadesi, after a long time I received a letter from my country. Not a bill passed by Parliament, nor an official letter from the Prime Minister or President's office, but an earnest letter from my countrymen. I don't know that watching me in the newsreels preceding the main show in movie theaters all these years was mentality. I remember clearly not giving any such instructions with my disciples and deeply regret the inconvenience caused. As you remember, I had to leave the prayer meeting scheduled at Birla House, Delhi on January 30, 1948, all of a sudden. There were so many people and so much chaos that morning that I hardly had time to bid farewell to anyone except my Lord. I wholeheartedly support your annoyance and exasperation with my grating footage on Quit India and Gandhi March. These documentaries serve no purpose. Besides, why should a young man like you be bombarded with stories of my heroism and struggle, remembering the past? You did the right thing by getting absorbed in your progress, and your children were even wiser in not making any difference to me. I fought for my country because my country is my life, and for this, I did not expect dividends. I followed what I preached and made sure not to thrust my views on you. I knew it was time for me to part the day Nathuram Godse disbelieved in me. After my departure, they hung my pictures, erected my statues, and rephrased my speeches. On October 2nd and January 30, different voices delivered different messages on the loudspeakers. The larger the crowd, the lesser was the faith. I must confess, though, that Supriya Munna, Sanjay, has truly understood my philosophy when translating my thoughts to his peers in Lagiro Munna. He rightly conveyed that all my photographs and statues ought to be destroyed. I'd rather live in my countrymen's hearts than in a monument. For so many years, I've been watching my countrymen from the walls of police stations, courtrooms, schools, libraries, and the streets. It has been very draining. You ask me why I look leaner and tanned. But how else can I look standing for decades in the national currency? But does all this guarantee faith in my principles or the purpose of my life? I have nothing against your progress. I have nothing against power and endured with humility, for I have myself interacted with many such politicians and artists in my time. I am not against entertainment either, and make it a point to watch deserving movies on the DVD. I am an admirer of new technology, and I am responding this mail to you via internet. Wow. One person's perspective, and in the process if I have altered even one person's perspective and restored even a single one's conscience, my effort has been worthwhile. I will visit my countrymen every time I'm assured of a sincere intention. I thought this was lots was written about Nagaro after the film release, and to me this was the finest piece I read. Let me narrate an anecdote. When this was written, I actually had decided much earlier in my life that I will not read newspapers in the morning because usually news is negative. I think probably negative news sells, so lots of it is written in the. So I in the evenings or in the nights, and sometimes I don't read it for many days. I think if there's news which has to reach you, it reaches you through some friends. And so I actually didn't read this article when it came. And probably she was waiting for this call. So I said, hello Bhawana. She says, bolo. She barked at me. You don't remember, it's typical of Bhawana, yeah. So I said, I read this article and it's lovely. You know, it's one of the finest things which has been written about life because it's got a different perspective. You know, everybody has said it's a great film, it's good, and but you've written a letter to Bapu, which is so heartwarming. All of it. So that's Bhawana for you. Straightforward, minces no words, and I think what she does, whatever little I know of Bhawana and whatever little I've read from these books and her earlier books, she I think writes because she wants to write, and she does it.
अभी उन्होंने पढ़ा कि जब भी मुझे याद करोगे मैं आ जाऊंगा मोहनदास करमचंद गांधी का ये वाला रहा कुछ इसी तरह से Rekha has been there as a constant support in my life, and whenever I have needed her for any milestone event of my life, she has always said that I will be there. She has her own way of doing it. She is intriguing. She will come if she has promised. Rekha ji and I go a very long way. I met her sometime in the late 70s when I was due to another tired, exhausted. I arrived at the studio, Ranjit studio in Dadar. It was about afternoon time because as I said I was a journalist while I was still a college student. So I would come directly from the college and I would come back. I saw, but I didn't have the confidence to approach her because I was scared. So I waited for her to go to the telephone operator. And in the meanwhile, while she was not there, my God. In the meanwhile, while she was not there, I went into her makeup room. I won over her hairdresser, who was a very nice lady, and I sat in the air-conditioned room, comfortable. So when she came, she looked at me and she said, "But you were outside a little while ago." I said, "Yeah." And then I introduced Lady. After that, whenever I wanted an interview, whenever I was around the set, she always had a kind word. I was a very self-respecting journalist, and because some star at that time had made a very catty comment, "Ye log aake hamare yahan," to the editor, whatever he said, and he was so young and so impressionable. But actually, there were chewas running in the stomach because you're coming from college, and that is how I got acidity, which is still not gone. I used to keep a biscuit packet in my bag so that Mr. Chai piyungi, because you thought drinking chai was already, you're not taking any care out from her. She was very sensitive and extremely receptive, and somewhere understood this. And I remember she just served her. She was serving her own plate. She served that plate and gave it to me, and she said, "You're a vegetarian, I know." I also didn't say anything. I ate. एक दो बार जो अच्छे लोग हैं. All my colleagues were very aware at her set when she was teaching us the tricks of makeup. She showed few to both of them, and when it came to me, she said, "Not for you. You just wear kajal and bindi, and you're fine." So तब से मैं सिर्फ काजल और बिंदी लगा रही हूँ. All my college friends were sitting behind saying, "You never wear a lipstick." I don't like. I'll be told not to put. I'm not. It's not preparation. She didn't say anything. She didn't ask me anything about the tragedy that had occurred. She just came home with that special meal, and we ate together, and that's it. There are many, many moments. But they are too personal, so I will not get into them. Somehow, certain people know your character.
Quiet. Rekha ji, Bhawana ji. Yeah. Yes, ma'am. All of you. Yeah. Ma'am, here. Ma'am, yes, sir. Rekha ji. Rekha ji, please. Ma'am, here. हाँ जी सारे जी हाँ जी
देखना किसी को छोड़ना मत, सबको लेना।
हाँ सबको लेना सब रेखा जी इकड़े हाँ जी आप प्लीज
बस
थैंक यू
Now we are getting the icing on the cake. The beautiful Rekha, though she is very shy and does not like usually speaking on the
ये अच्छा फोटो
she has to speak a few words. Babu, मेरे को बचाओ, वीरानी.
You said she is you.
आप बोलो, कुछ बोलना पड़ेगा आपको बैठ के बोलो. 2 मिनट बैठ जाओ. नहीं, 2 मिनट. नहीं,
Way past 9.
2 minutes.
Namaskar, good evening. Welcome to the
आप लोग के जरूरत से ज्यादा फोटोग्राफ हो गए थोड़ा ऑडियंस के लिए भी तो रखिए चलो साइड में आ जाइए ना प्लीज
Mr. Shah, please take a chair. This time I need it. Namaskar. I'm an actor. And I can only be a complete one if I have someone who writes the dialogues. And I can only be that much of a more complete actor if somebody like Bhawana criticizes my craft. She's done that so beautifully, not just in front of the, on celluloid, but behind the scenes also. She's criticized my life in such a beautiful, that I can never think of her as a journalist. She's more of a sister, and may I add, a kid sister, because she's, not because of her height and her size, but
और age
no, it's not the age at all. It's again, frame of mind. But for her, it's because she just epitomizes everything that's cute, cuddly, and tiny. I know one other person, and she's equally cute, cuddly, and tiny, but we don't want to take names. But I feel intensely the same, if not more, for Bhavana. And when you came for the first time to see me, Bhavana, you were nervous and you had all that, but all I saw was your beautiful eyes and your beautiful heart, even though I could never, you never showed it to me, but I saw it. And it takes one to recognize another. I know I'm sounding very vain, but I believe that the gift that parents give you is your personality, which includes your persona, which is, for me, it's important to have a good heart. Everything else just follows suit. So, the reason I'm here is not because I want to support her on everything that she does. I believe that this is the time that I have to announce to the whole world that she deserves better. She deserves so much more. And I think, if I suggest to you, that you must do television, and you must be the journalist that you are, or whatever you want to be, on celluloid, and see what it means to be in my shoes for a little bit. Then you will know. But also, I'm here to bless her and give her all my love and support, along with Pa, who's watching me right now. She's completely thrilled with what I'm doing right now because she knows that I won't talk. But I'm glad to do so this evening, and thank you so much, Bhavana, for giving me this honor and privilege, and thank you all for being patient with me. God bless you all. Thank you.
I'm overwhelmed with all the praise, and we all have to take all the praise from everybody with a pinch of salt. And I forgot to thank Praveen Bhai. You were splendid, and all my some faces that I recognize in the auditorium: Mona, Arti, beside Ali, Romesh, and Yogi, Rashmi, Cynthia, Pita. So many names I can't take.
रेखा जी फोटो देना सामने साथ
Reading her when she was on screen. That was a magazine which that was a, you call it a tabloid or whatever you call it, but that kept on coming all the time there. As I just said, there's a basic honesty in her. It's not an effort to, with journalism, because a lot of places become where you write negative, it sells, but it wasn't like that. It wasn't. Nothing was being written to sell. It was being written so that it was being written because that's the way she felt. Yeah. That's it. Thank you so much.
होमवर्क है मैं कुछ नहीं मुंह खोलूंगी जब तक आप सवाल नहीं पूछोगे आई एम नॉट अ रोबोट Didn't you watch the entire event? The book is a collection of serious essays on cinema. It is looking at cinema in a serious perspective. It is subjective. It is sometimes objective. It is general. It talks about, as the title suggests, fragmented frames. It speaks about varied subjects like festivals, like relationships, like mythology, like shift in perspective. The merchandising, how the marketing has become the new mantra. Yeah, because it's a special relationship, and when she came, she said that she will not speak. I told her that all right, we will not force you. We will go by the flow of the event and how it goes. She has to go now for shooting. It was a very pressed day for her, but she kept her word and she came. Thank you.
ठीक है
You just be with Mr. Hirani. Huh? So that this is not, he'll take care of you. Yogi, you want to leave or you're waiting?
वो एक ही साथ
हाँ एक ही साथ
So what was your first reaction when you read about this article from Bhawana?
As I just said, I read it much later, and lots of interesting things were being written that time. But this was probably the finest article because it wasn't a simple article just talking about the film or praising the film. It was a letter written to Bapu. So we started with saying ki, thanks Bapu for accepting this film. So it was a very, very interesting way the whole article was written, which showed that she really what she felt for the film. It was amazing.
Which of her book have you read and you personally liked a lot?
I have actually started reading this book. I actually haven't even finished reading this book. I read a few articles. So I said she wanted me to talk about it. I said I've not. But I've been obviously reading her when she was on screen. That was a magazine which that was a, you call it a tabloid or whatever you call it, but that kept on coming all the time there. And as I just said, there's a basic honesty in her. It's not an effort to, with journalism, to a lot of places become where you write negative, it sells, but it wasn't like that. It wasn't. Nothing was being written to sell. It was being written so that it was being written because that's the way she felt. Yeah. Thank you so much.
हमारा धड़ करके डाल देते हो बगैर होमवर्क किए मैं कुछ नहीं मुंह खोलूंगी जब तक आप सवाल नहीं पूछोगे आई एम नॉट अ रोबोट
Bhavana ji, first tell us about the book. What is the book all about?
Didn't you watch the entire event?
Ma'am, just
The book is a collection of serious essays on cinema. It is looking at cinema in a serious perspective. It is subjective. It is sometimes objective. It is general. It talks about, as the title suggests, fragmented frames. It speaks about varied subjects like festivals, like relationships, like mythology, like shift in perspectives, the merchandising, how the marketing has become the new mantra.
Talking about Rekha was here too long. Others felt that she's a bit shy person, but finally she spoke just because of you. So just felt that she was here for the long.
Yeah, because it's a special relationship, and when she came, she said that she will not speak. I told her that all right, we will not force you. We will go by the flow of the event and how it goes. She has to go now for shooting. It was a very pressed day for her, but she kept her word and she came. Thank you.
नहीं चल रहा है हेलो माहिर
जी जी
तो अभी फाइल करो क्या जाना पड़ेगा वो ऑफिस में तो होगा नहीं ना कोई
खाली है क्या?
हाँ हाँ खाली उठा लो ट्राइपॉड भी लियो राजेंद्र ना हाँ सुन ला क्या हुआ पूछने खाली नाम पूछने जी सॉरी यार ठीक है जी